Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet yet again for another tutorial. My name is Mary and I'm just singing because I'm very excited. This stitch makes me excited. It is a join as you go, but it is not your regular join as you go. It is just so smooth and so perfect. One cannot go wrong with it. Okay, so what we're going to do today, we are going to make sure we have 4 squares for starters. If you haven't got 4 squares, the initial tutorial for these squares is in the inbox down below. It's the very first description box down below. Hello. It is the very first tutorial you'll come to before this one here. Okay, so do 4 of those squares, come back to us and then do this join and you are going to love it as I do. I hope you are. Well, I hope you love it. Anyway, we used the 8mm hook because this, I don't know why this is going so blurry. Okay, it's because there's too much work in the back. That's it. Okay, we used an 8mm hook. We used Fiddlesticks yarn. I'm not affiliated with them. I just wanted to try this yarn. I popped into the store at the time and this is the only one I could find that was nice and thick. However, I did not know that it was going to be this thick. So there you go. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore. You will need your hook. You will need your yarn. You will maybe need your scissors at the end and you might need your weaving needle. We're not going to sew it in because in a few weeks' time we're going to come back and we are going to do a border for this particular blanket. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so here we have our 4 pieces. We're going to put these 2 pieces over there. We won't need them right now. In actual fact, we probably won't even need the first one right now. What we're going to do is start our join as you go. I've got a bit of a knot in this thread. My apologies. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't know how that happened. Okay. All right. So for those of you who know me will know I do not like to start in an area where I have left off. And see, I weave that in so well that I don't know where it is. Can you believe it? Ah, there it is right there. Okay, that's where we finished off. You can see the knot very faintly. How good is that weaving in, huh? If you're not sure how we did that weaving in, I will actually pop in a tutorial down below. I've done a tutorial on how to weave in edges, weave in threads, sorry. I'll pop a tutorial down below and you can see that there. So we're going to start not on an area where we ended off. We're just going to pop our hook in. I'll get a nice little close-up for you. Okay, let's go like that so you can see. Okay, so if you've already done this tutorial, you would know how to do our cluster sets. So I'm not going to tell you how to do them. I'll just say 3, 2, 3 cluster set and you'll know what I mean. All right, so as we usually do, we put the yarn forward so we can lock it into place. We chain up our 3, 1, 2 and 3, and we do our normal 2 double crochets, which will classify as 3 now because of the chains. Okay, and my thread is pulling already and I've only just started. Okay, 1 and 2, and then you can do your 3 double crochets in the same square. I'm a duffer. Same corner. Now I've been doing tutorials all morning. I'm so tired. So if I make any mistakes, just walk away. Don't listen. All right, here we go. So there's double cluster set with your chain 2 in there, right, which we've been doing all along with these squares. If you have just joined us, don't forget you can actually make this square. It's the very next tutorial, the very previous tutorial before this one. Now we're going to that space and we're putting our 1 cluster set as we've been doing with all the squares. So if you want to do this square, the very first link in the description box down below will be the square. Okay, all right, now do a cluster set in your next space. So you should be kind of experienced at all this part right here. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to do anymore. I'm going to show you this bit so you can do it off air. Pause the video, get round to this corner there and stop, and I'll meet you up. All right, so we've gotten to this corner here. We haven't put our cluster set in. If you have, just undo 1 cluster set. You only need 1 in the corner. And I'll show you that in a minute. Bring it up like so. So you will put your 3 double crochets. What's going on here? Yeah, you will put your 3 double crochets in there. 1, 2. It's a little bit blurry, isn't it? 3. I may have to go back to using lighting. I've been trying to use natural light here because we've had lots and lots of sun lately, but it doesn't show a lot of the stitches very well and it can come across a little blurry. So I may have to go back to using false lighting, and it just helps you to see it better. A little bit bright, but it helps you to see it better. All right, so you've done your 3 double crochets in the corner. The reason I've made this a little bigger is because this is a part where you need to see what we're doing. Actually, no, I won't make it bigger because you won't see what I'm doing. You turn your square, you grab another square and get it ready, okay? So you've turned your square, you're going to chain 1. Don't make that chain too tight, like I do, and I'll explain that to you later. You get your other square. Now, you're going to pretend, well, you aren't going to pretend, you're actually doing it, that you're doing a normal double crochet, a normal double crochet in that corner there. And that's exactly what you're going to do, okay? And don't do this one too loose, otherwise you'll have a loose gap there. You don't want that. All right, so there's your chain 1. You'll need that chain 1 later, okay? Now, you're not going to do another double crochet. You're going to lift your loop. Now, this is the join bit. This is the one where I'm sure the lovely lady was getting a bit confused by. In the row before, you have your 3 double crochets, right? Each double crochet is the letter V. And there's your first V, double crochet, your second V, double crochet, and your third. And there's your chain in the middle. What you need to do is pop your hook in that very last double crochet. Now this is a tricky bit. You pop the loop back on your hook, give it a tug, gentle tug, not too much, you don't want it too tight, right? And then you just pull it through the loop, okay? Yarn over hook and go ahead and do another double crochet in that center. I hope this has helped. Pull up your loop, go back to your previous row, that corresponding stitch, your 2 stitches there, the corresponding one right there, grab that loop again. It's a little bit fiddly. I think it's just this first corner that's fiddly. Later we start to get it, okay? Pull that loop through and do a normal double crochet in that center again, or in that corner. Pull up your loop. Now you're on your last V. Now your last V looks like it's almost in the center there. You don't want to go in the center, you want to go in that V stitch. Now the V stitch is the 2 loops on top and let's have a look underneath, and 1 loop on the bottom. All right, so there you go. That's your V stitch. I hope that helps. Okay, I'm doing this nice and slowly. I know it looks daunting, but it does give a better look when you crochet your granny squares this way. So there you go. You have done your first corner. Now you're just going to do a double crochet or the next cluster set in there. Only 1 double crochet for now. Okay, pull up your loop again. Go to that very corresponding stitch of the other side. Grab your loop. Again, it's fiddly, but you can get it. Newbies will get it. You will get it. Then you do your double crochet, whoops, your next double crochet stitch in there. Oh gosh, I keep losing that stitch. In there. Pull up your loop. Now I've done this a bit loose for you guys to see. It does pay to do a little bit tighter, but that's not too bad. You can see that. And there's your corresponding stitch there. Pull that loop and pull it through your corresponding stitch. Okay, then you do a 3rd double crochet in there. So you're still doing your cluster sets, but in between each stitch you are popping them in the back of that previous stitch of the other square. All right, so do you understand how that's going? What I want you to do, continue to do that until you get to there, and I'll meet you up. All right, where you should be right now is that middle bit there. All right, so we're ready to do our corner. Now it does look a little bit off shape here, but once you do the corner, it straightens up, trust me. I've done this before. Okay, so what we're going to do, now the corners can be tricky. You just have to focus. So do 1 double crochet in your corner like you were doing in all your spaces. Lift up your loop. Go to the corresponding double crochet in that first cluster set of the corner. All right. So this part here is easy. It's just when you get near that corner, it can get a little bit tricky. And then you do another double crochet in that corner. Pull up your loop like we've been doing all along the row. Put your hook in the corresponding stitch. Just be careful. I found even that I've actually missed a corresponding stitch and the whole thing has become crooked. So just be careful. Make sure you get the exact corresponding stitch or you will put it all out of whack. What you need to remember, and I found the trick to remembering which one is which, when you get to your last stitch in your cluster set, the opposite stitch will be kind of in the middle of the gap, if that helps you. All right, so here's your last corresponding stitch. Okay, it's not in the gap, it's just a last corresponding stitch there. Now we've done 3 there. We've got our 3 on the opposite side. We need to do like a U-turn. So what you're going to do is you're going to chain 1, pull up a loop, because you haven't finished this part of the stitching yet. Pop your hook in the corner, the whole corner of that previous square. Grab your loop, pull it through, a little bit tricky just to begin with. Chain 1, and you are going to just put a double crochet in your same corner that you're working in, and you're going to put a full set in that corner because we're not joining anything at the moment, we're just doing this. All right, and I'm going to show you exactly what you've done. You've just done a U-turn, and notice how it's all evened out in the end. It's not crooked. Okay, the whole thing isn't crooked. Now look at that join. It is flat, no bubbles. This is one positive. The second positive is you are using that one thread to crochet all the pieces together. So you, at the end of the day, when you're ready to weave in your ends, you've only got 1 and the last thread 2 ends to weave in. That is the benefit of this join. When you're doing other joins, you've got a gazillion ends everywhere to weave in, and that's like a pest, it really is. And the benefit, another benefit about this join is it's flat. It looks like there's a ridge there, but it's not. It's kind of a flat ridge. You don't have that big bubbled ridge when you're doing single crochet that together. Then you get a big bubbled ridge there. This is flat on this side, and if you don't like to look at it the right side, you like the bubbled look, it's flat on that side too. There are no ridges, no bubbles, nothing. It is perfect, which is a reason why I love this stitch very much. Okay, so this is where we are at the moment with our granny square blanket. When we did it, we got to there. Let's get rid of the grey because that's just confusing. This is where we are at the moment. We've done that row, and that row. There's your red. And done that row, and that row, and that row. Now, we're going to go all the way there. If you had more squares to do, you get to that corner and you add exactly what you've done here, you do it there, and so on and so on, okay? But because we're only doing 4 squares for the purpose of the tutorial, we're going to add our next square in a minute, but not yet. So, get to that corner and stop, all right? All you're doing, sorry, I should have mentioned, you're just doing your cluster set, cluster set, cluster set, and half a cluster set in there, all right? Okay, here we are. We've done from that corner, we've crocheted over to there. We've just put 1 cluster set in there. Why? Because we're going to do the same thing we did here. We're going to do our turn. Now our turn, I think that's one of the things that is a little bit tricky for our newcomers. So I'll do that again, nice and slowly. Even though we've seen it, we're going to do it again, okay? We've done our last double crochet. Now we are going to chain 1, nice and loose. And I've done it tight already. Nice and loose. Hello, Mary. Practice what you preach. Here we go. And I'm being naughty, aren't I? We're going to do a double crochet in that corner. Occasionally, I do get a little bit sidetracked. Sorry, guys. I know. Sometimes people tell me about it, and sometimes people click that button when I do it. So sorry about that. There's 1 loop we've done. So we've done 1 double crochet, lifted up our loop. We get to this little area right here, remember our 3 double crochets, our 3 V's, not the chain stitch, but we're going to put it in that last double crochet, the corresponding stitch, okay, and pull it through. Now do another double crochet in that corner. Now this one always comes a little loose for me because I'm trying to show you. If it was up to me, I'd be going really fast, and that's what makes it tight. Go to your corresponding stitch, which is the second one. All right, pull the loop on the hook and pull it through. Do another double crochet in that corner, because that's your 3rd double crochet. So when you get to your 3rd double crochet, remember how I was saying there's a stitch there, right in the middle? That's a stitch. Don't skip it. It'll put all your line out of whack. Okay, pull it through and then pop into that next cluster set and just keep doing that all the way until you get to here. Now stop here because the corner is a little bit tricky. Not completely tricky, it's just remembering where to put your threads. So get to here and meet me up. Okay, so we are on to our last cluster set, and that's the area where my actual knot is. So I'm happy that I'm covering it up with a corner. So we do our normal, oh, that's a little bit too far away. Sorry, guys. We do our normal double crochet. We lift up that loop, go to the corresponding stitch right there. I probably should have got you to do this one, or I should have done it before I started the corner. Okay, there. Then you do another one. Pull up your loop, corresponding corner. There. Do another one. Pull up a loop, corresponding corner. 2, 3, and 4. Yep, corresponding. Oh! That's what happens when you're not focused. I'm counting the stitches and I wasn't focused. 3. Well, I do apologise, guys. That happens. Pull up that loop, pop it in the corresponding corner. Okay, now we've up to our corner itself. All right, so you hop in the corner like normal. You do 1 double crochet like normal, pull up your loop. You're still going to do this part here like normal. You're going to pop it through. Hope I'm not going too fast. I'll slow down. Sorry, guys. I will slow down. My apologies. I tend to do that. I forget after a while. I just rush through it. Okay. There's your second one. Put it in your second corresponding corner. And there's your third one. Popping it into your third corresponding stitch. Now be careful, don't put it in the corner. We're still putting it in the stitch. We're not using the corner yet. We will in a second. Okay, we've put it up. All right, now we've done our 3. This is a part where we need to chain 1, pull up the loop, leave it there. The very first corner, which is the same corner you're working, there's your corner there. You're working, you still need to connect it to the next corner. So you pop your hook in the corner space right there. You grab your loop. This is the tricky bit. All right, you pull it through and you chain 1. Pull up that loop. Turn. You have another corner right there, an opposite corner. You need to pop your hook in that opposite corner. Put the loop in and pull it through. Okay, a little bit tricky, but you need to get all those corners in. Otherwise you'll have a gap. Chain 1. And then you pop into this square here, in this corner, sorry, back into your corner that you were working on. Do a normal double crochet. Try not to do that part too loose or you'll end up with a big loose thing there, but don't do it too tight either. And then you do your normal 2 double crochets after it. So you do your 3 double crochets and I'll show you exactly what you've done. Okay, so that's what you've done. You have connected 1, 2 and 3. So you've joined all those. When we pop the next square in, wherever that is, that's the old square, we don't want that one there. When you pop that one in and you get to here, you're going to slip stitch into that corner, then slip stitch into that corner, and then slip stitch into that corner and back. So it might look a little bit thick to begin with, but after it'll all settle down. That's what I'm saying. Don't do it too tight and don't do it too loose. Try to keep it consistent in the middle and it'll stay consistent. All right. So what I want you to do now is double crochet all the way to there. Do that chain 1 and wait for me there. All right. Okay. You should have crocheted all along there. Did your 3 double crochet. You know what I will do? We'll do that. You've done your 3 double crochets. Yep. Turn it around. Grab your other square. Leave it there for now. Chain 1. Whoops. Nice and loosely. And you'll understand that later. Oh, I've got the wrong square. That's the one with all the threads hanging off. We want one without threads. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So you've done your chain 1. Now you're going to put a double crochet in that corner right there. Pull up your loop. All right. See, this part you should actually be experienced at now because you've been doing that all the way through. But I thought I'll show you the corners whenever we get there. It just kind of makes it a lot easier to remember when you've seen it a few times. Okay, well this is the last time you're going to see that corner, I think, or that kind of corner. Do your double crochet, lift up that loop, corresponding stitch. Do one more. In there, lift up the loop, corresponding stitch. You are now very experienced at this stitch so far, hence the word so far. All right. Do a double crochet just in that next space so you can lock this stitch into place. Pull it up and leave it there for a minute. Let's have a quick look where we are. This is where you should be. All right. So you've done your join. You've come along here. You've done another turn. You've put one cluster set with your corresponding stitching here. Now I want you to get to there and wait. This is the best bit. This is the bit all of a sudden you realize there are no gaps. You're going to love it. Trust me. Might be a little bit difficult, but you'll love it. I'll be back in a sec. All right. This is where you should be up to. We haven't gone into our corner yet. We're going to do that in a moment. Okay. Oops. I haven't pulled this through to the last thread there, the opposite side, or the corresponding corner, I should say. Okay. So now let's blow this up for you. This is a tricky bit, but it's not difficult. Okay. So we're going to put our normal double crochet in the corner like we've been doing in every corner. Lift up our loop and we're going to join it to the corresponding stitch like we've been doing it in every stitch. So nothing's changed here. We're going to put a second double crochet in there. Okay, lift up the loop, pop it through the corresponding stitch, pull it through. Do your third double crochet. Now this is where it's going to change in a minute. Okay, well actually it's not going to change, it's the same. You pop it in the corresponding stitch. Now just be careful, don't pop it in the corner yet. Make sure you pop it in the corresponding stitch first. Now that makes a difference. Now I've skipped that corresponding stitch once and it's made an absolute mess of my corner. Okay, now you chain 1, lift up your loop. Now you have 1, 2 and 3 corners. You've got to get them through all 3 corners. So there's your first corner. And it's a little bit awkward now because you've got all 4 squares together. Pop your loop in there. Don't pull too tight. There's 1. Chain 1. Lift up that loop. Go to the next corner. Grab your loop. A little bit awkward, but not difficult. Pull it through. Split the yarn there. Good on you, Mary. Chain 1. Lift up your loop. Pull it to that very next corner. Pull it through. Whoop, I lost a loop. You don't want to do that. Pull the loop through. Chain 1. Now, turn it back where you were. You've gone through 1, 2 and 3. A little bit awkward there, it looks like it, but once you finish it off, You won't even notice that awkwardness, all right? Now, this is a part where if you leave it too loose, it's going to be noticeable. So do you double crochet in there, 1. Now, normally, when we get to here, we just do the double crochets across, but we're not going to do that because we have a corresponding square, okay? Pull up your loop. Pop it in there, the corresponding stitch. Now, be careful because your corresponding stitch might be stitched over. So you've got to make sure you get into that 1, 2, and 3. Make sure you get into that first corresponding stitch. Now, that's the part where I didn't get into and I lost a stitch and it looked bad, all right? So you need to make sure you get into that corresponding stitch. Then turn. Now, don't make this section too loose or it'll be noticeable, all right? It has to be not tight, but taut, if that makes any sense. Strong, but not tight. There. Go to the corresponding stitch. Pull that loop through. And double crochet again. This is your 3rd double crochet for the corner. And then we're out of the awkward stage. And it'll start getting normal again. Just pop yourself into the very next double crochet section or next space. Pull up your loop. Have a look at what you've done. Bring it out. Yeah, I've done mine a little bit loose there so you can see that bubble. But let me show you the original. Here's the original. Okay, get a nice little close-up for you. And it looks like that. Okay, nice and tight. All right, so just be careful when you're doing it loose. You can actually see that, like that's a little bit loose there. You don't want to see that, okay? I did it loose because I just wanted to show you the stitch, but we will tighten it up, I think, later. I might actually tighten it up now and then I'll catch you up when we get to here, okay? It's only that very last stitch that was loose, right there. So I might just give it a big tug, chain it into place, nice and tight, and then do the double crochet in that corner. So if you've done that like I've done it, like if it's really loose and extremely noticeable, fix it up because you don't want that look. It's not the look you want, okay? You want a closed up shop look, if that makes any sense. And then you put a double crochet in there, pull up your loop, and so on. Whoops. And another double crochet in there. So that's pretty much where we are at. All right, get yourself to this corner here and stop because this is another area we have to focus on. Okay, I'll meet you up. Okay, so here we are at the end of the row. I started popping 1 double crochet into that corner. Now, the reason I stopped is I just wanted to show you something, guys. Yours truly should not have done that first 3 double crochets with that. No, I should have just did the first 3 double crochets. The rest would have been easier. However, I'm not worried. I'm going to keep going. So it just means we have to work around this little bit, which is fine. Okay, but in the original video, I didn't do that. I just did 3. Okay, so there you go. Never mind. Okay, so here we are. We start our corner. We lift up our loop. We pop it in the corresponding stitch, like so. Pull it through. Pop it in there. Next stitch. Pull up a loop. Corresponding stitch. This is all very easy, this part, because you know it now. It's just that corner bit. It's not difficult, the corner bit. We're still putting it in the stitch because we've still got that 3rd corresponding stitch we need to put it into. And there you go. Now, oh, it's big now. It's awkward. All right, now you chain 1, pull up a loop, pop it in the corner, chain 1. Pull the loop through. Now chain 1. Don't make it so tight like I did, and do a double crochet back in the same corner. So initially all you've done is done a U-turn. If I can Not really a U-turn, you've just done a turn. Actually done a left-hand turn. If you're talking about driving in a car, it's a left-hand turn. Okay, so there you are. All right, this is what you have done so far. You've got to the end of that middle section, you've gone all the way down here, you've got to here, and you've did a chain one and you've turned. All right, so now this is the best bit, guys. This is the bit where we crochet around the whole blanket, if you have a blanket. Ours is just a few squares. What I want you to do is crochet until you get to there. Do your normal cluster sets until you get to there. Wait for me there because we have to do something here, okay? So just do everything, get to there, and I shall meet you up. All right, so here we are at the end of this first corner. Now, this is where it's not tricky, it's easy. It's just hopefully we did those chain stitches nice and loose. Because in the original tutorial, the one that I did here, I did the chains a little bit too tight and I struggled to get my hook in there. So hopefully I did them loose enough. Okay, so what we're going to do is pop. We've already got the 3 double crochets in that corner and then we did the turn. All right, now we've got to finish off that corner by putting another 3 double crochets in there. 1, 2, oops. 2 and 3. So this is where we are at the moment. Now we need to close up our corner. We chain 1 only, not 2, because we've already chained 1 here. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to find that chain 1. Now with this chain 1, I've only put it through 1. You've got to find 2 threads to put it through. Okay, I know there are 2 threads here somewhere. There. Now, there's your V. You've got your 2 threads. Underneath you should have 1 thread, and on top you should have 2. That is your V. It's tricky to find, but once you find it, you got it. Okay. So all we're doing is putting our hook in. We're pulling a loop through. We're pulling a loop through, like so, and slip stitching it into our chain on the hook. Okay. Chain 1. And guess what, guys? We have half a corner done here. We're going to finish off that corner with double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to show you in one moment what it's like. And there you go. That's what you've done. You have completed 1 corner by slip stitching in that single crochet we did before. Single crochet. The chain we did before. And you've gone ahead and finished off your next corner. How cool is that? So what I want you to do the rest of that until you get to that corner there. Wake me up and I'll be back. All right, so here we are at the end of our second corner. We've done that first corner. And now we're at the end of our second corner. We're going to, well, first we're going to blow this up so you can see. Then we're going to pop in 3 double crochets in that corner. 1, 2, and 3. I'll wake you up. Okay, there you go. Now, looking carefully, there's a chain stitch right there. This one's really loose, so I can actually see the 2 threads. Before we do our jumping in there, we've got to make sure we chain 1 first, because we've only done our 3 double crochets. We chain 1, then we find that stitch. See those 2 threads right there, nice and loose, this one. So I pop my hook in, pull it through and pull it through on the loop on your hook. Chain 1, jump straight into the very next corner like so. 1, 2 and 3. And guess what, guys? You're going to do it again. You're going to do that again till you get to there, and all the way to there, and I will meet you up. And I'm telling you now, we'll just stop right there. When you get there, I'm telling you now, you can do this by yourself. You really can. So get to this section here and I will meet you up. All right, guys, so here we are at the end of our row. I've sort of squashed it up a bit so that I can work. It's a little bit squishy now. It's all big, and that's what happens when you're working with bulky yarn. It's only 4 squares. All right, let's make this a little bigger. We are at the end of our row. So we are going to put a double crochet on there, like we normally do, pop your cluster set in your very last space that you've come to. 2 and 3. This is tugging. Oh, this is tugging on me so much, this yarn. Sorry, guys. It's at the end of its roll, so it's tugging. There you go, 2 and 3. All right. So now what you should have initially is all 4 sides crocheted together. And now we are going to join. Now, ordinarily, so this is a mistake I made doing this, in the original blanket, this set won't be here, okay? But I shouldn't have put it there. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. What we would have done was we would have just hopped into the corner, did your 3 double crochets, and then joined into the corner. It would have been a lot easier. However, it doesn't matter. Just find your chain 3 like we've been doing all along. Find the 2, not so tight chains there. Pull the loop through, pull it through, pull it up. Now, if you want to cut it, you can. I'm not going to. Now, the reason I'm not going to cut it is because yours truly would like to continue with doing more border. Actually, no, that's not true. I need to add more squares. So I just did this border here to show you. But I will take off 2 of the squares and keep adding a few more squares because I want to make this blanket a little bigger. Just because the squares are big doesn't mean the blanket's going to be big. Okay, so there you have it. What you initially have done is this. In fact, you've gone further than the rest of the group because you've done the outer side of it. We're not up to the outer side yet because we've got another 2. We've got another 6 more squares to join. So it's going to be huge, our blanket. Well, as huge as you can expect it to be. That's that. So there you have it. If you want to do this blanket, this particular blanket, all the links to this blanket will be in the description box down below. But I will have the square, how to make this square, the first link, and then these will be the next few links. And after that, you'll have a few links of other items that we've made on Wow Crochet's channel. So what can I say, guys? This is where you are at. If you wanted to continue, you could just, let me blow that up a little bit. You could just slip stitch into the corner and continue. I'm not going to show you that because that's going to be done with our big blanket and you're just going to have to wait for that. You'll have to subscribe to our channel, hit the little bell button and receive that tutorial in your inbox as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. It is a fantastic join. There are no threads. There are just 1 and 2 threads to sew in at the end. And as opposed to doing the old Victorian style stitch where you've got to sew, so tie a knot here, tie a knot there, turn it over, tie it through, sew it in, and then sew it in one by one, and there's grooves and there's weaves and there's so many threads everywhere. So that is the joy of this stitch. Now, there is one negative. Yes, there is. No, actually, there's 2. If you skip your corresponding stitch, you'll be out of whack and your blanket will look like that. That's one negative. The second negative is if you lose a slip, or there's a slip, when you're doing the slip stitch and you lose the loop and pull it gently, you find the whole thing can come undone. So just be very, very careful, okay? So that's all it is. The only 2 little negatives, but the positives are outweighing those negatives. Look at that gorgeous join. You don't have to join. You don't have 1,000 threads to weave in, and that's what I like about this join as you go. Thank you so much for watching, and all I can say to lovely people right now is ciao for now.